Welcome back to the Abundant Harvest Homestead. I'm Papa Pepper. Some time ago I promised our loyal supporters and subscribers that I would do a video on fruit trees, and I'm not saying that there's a conspiracy afoot, but the evidence I'm gathering is really getting me to think outside of the box. Now, traditionally I do not like thinking inside the box because I think it looks goofy to even try to think inside a box. That said, the more that people have shifted away from a producer DIY type lifestyle and into consumers, there's a lot of things that have been streamlined in the process that make things easier for us, but are they really better? What I'm about to show you is research in the process. You know, I'm in the process of researching this, but so far, what I found has led me to think about this a little bit more and give you guys some ideas as you guys are starting to kind of return to the land, garden, grow your own food, have fruit trees, stuff like that, because I think it's worth considering. So our first specimen in this evaluation is going to be this peach tree. This is a peach tree I bought at a store. I do not remember for sure which store I bought it at. It's possible I may have even picked it up at a Walmart. But this is one of the regular varieties you can find that you can pick up. I do not recall if this one is the Alberta or the Loring, but I think this one is Alberta. And you know, here we even have a peach on it. So you can know them by their fruit. This is a peach tree. But if we take inventory on this plant, the amount of fruit we're going to be able to find are going to be few and far between. As best as I can right now, I'm going to give you guys a count. I see a lot of branches, I see a lot of leaves, I see some fruit. This is one. Got one there, also another one there, that's three, and I see a fourth right there, but a lot of these branches are mostly just leaves. There has to be more than four on here. I'm not seeing. Okay, here's a fifth. Center screen, there's a fifth right there. Not the prettiest, but it counts, it's a peach. And then here's a sixth. But being honest, I can find about 6 peaches on an entire tree. Now you saw it's big enough, a 200-pound man can climb up in the middle of it and just sit there. I think that one's the Alberta. I think this one's the Loring. And it was bought about the same time. The fruit's slightly bigger on it right now. But let's do our count, let's do our inventory. We got 1. Here's 2. And then 3 is right back there, center screen. And besides that, I don't know. Now this tree's getting pretty tall. We did take a year off of gardening. I didn't prune them last year or this year, so I'm gonna prune them back a bit this next coming year. But this one here, I got 3 peaches. And for frame of reference too, we do have pollinators like way close nearby. It's like 15 feet away, we got a hive of bees. And there's 6 other hives of bees right now on this property. Now don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful to be able to have trees on my property making fruit. I don't mind the one-time investment of buying a tree and then being able to get fruit for year after year after year. And I know it does vary. Sometimes we have an amazing year, sometimes we have a not so amazing year, you know, but the potential to have fruit every year is there. Now the interesting thing is, I just walked over here by a different type of peach tree. And this peach tree is one we've grown from seed. It was just a sprout. In fact, here's one of its babies. This baby here is not very big. This is a peach from that tree. In 2017, that's what that tree looked like, roughly. It was just a small little guy. And I'll give you a look at it in a minute, but while I was out here on the perimeter, I wanted to show you this. That one peach tree I found like, what, 6 peaches on? The other one like 3? Now this grew from seed. Fell to the ground, just grew up, right? I will take this one branch of many and head out from there and do inventory. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow, there's 6 right here already. And there's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Not bad. 13. So just this one branch from there out has 13 on it, and that's not an isolated case. And just looking up into the sky there, I can see that that branch from there out has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, at least 10 on it, 11 that I can see from the ground. If I zoom in a bit, you guys can see what I mean. Like there's peaches up there that you can see. Same thing here right in front of me. Peaches and peaches and peaches heading all the way back in. Now there's two different ways to look at this. And I'm totally understanding that quality over quantity is, I mean, if you can have a whole pile of stuff that's terrible, you're not really going to want that. If you can have something that produces less, but they're amazing, that's better. So I understand that concept, but I will say that the peaches from this tree are straight up absolutely amazing. This is a decent sized tree. I don't know if you can see, if I get up the size of that base down there. Well, that's a good looking tree, especially growing from seed. And even this one here, right in front of me, I've got 5 on this tiny little branch right in front of me. Last year we did eat the fruit of this tree, and it was phenomenal. It was amazing. They were very large peaches that were absolutely delicious. Now they kind of ripen to a light orange lime green as opposed to like an orange and a red, you know, combination. But they were large and they were amazing, very flavorful, and we absolutely loved them. And when I see, like, I'll show you closer, where you have something like this. This is just one tiny little one with 5 nice healthy peaches growing on it. And that's not isolated, all through here. Look, there's one right here, another 3 right there, another 3 right there, another 3 right there. And over and over and over again, this tree on just tiny branches beats out entire trees. Now it is a little bit older than the ones there, but also this one I think is grown quicker. It went from a sprout to this, which again I didn't prune last year or the year before, this year or last year. So I'm gonna do that this fall. But it grew up massive. And those ones there I bought at like 4 to 5 feet tall, put them in a couple years ago, and look at them now. They are producing, but it's not the same. There's a level of production that this thing is cranking out that is different than the ones I bought from the store. So is it just that growing from seed is better? I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that everything you grow from seed is going to be better. Am I saying the stuff that they offer us at the big box stores is toned back to have a far less beneficial production? I'm not saying that either. I'm not saying there's a fruit tree conspiracy going on here, but it's interesting just to see what's possible. A lot of people will say, do not grow fruit trees from seed, they won't be true to kind. Yeah, I get they won't be true to kind, but every new variety that comes out that was better than the ones before isn't true to kind. It's better than the previous one, and I like that idea, you know. Of course, the ones that aren't as good, they don't release to the general public, but I'm saying that any new variety has been grown from a seed, and it winds up being in one way or another better, or people like it more. So, now I will also say there's a difference in the fact that this isn't grafted, you know, and those are, but also in the growing area. Those are out in my garden drive-through. These are in the poultry pens. So I have ducks or turkeys or guineas or chickens that are keeping the ground pretty much bare underneath these plants. You can see there's nothing growing down here. They've got it all mowed back to nothing, but they're also having a high level of nitrogen that they're adding back to the soil, and they may be doing a good job reducing a lot of pests as well, because they're going to gobble up a lot of those insects. I was talking with a friend of mine. His family actually runs a nursery up in Missouri as one of their streams of revenue, and he was talking about how he had encountered an old-timer and was talking to him, and the guy said the best place to grow a plum tree is in your poultry pen. He was saying that a fruit tree in his chicken pen was how people used to do it, and it did so much better than just out somewhere else. And when he mentioned that to me, I said, you know, my favorite and best peach tree is in my poultry pen. And he's like, really? And it's just bare underneath there? And I said, yeah, it is. He said, huh. And I said, yeah. You know, and to me it was just an experiment. It seemed to make sense that if fruit trees like nitrogen, and down here, you know, in like the mid-south, that poultry would like some shade, that it seemed like if the fruit trees were in this area and they grew up and provided shade for the animals, that the animals then would keep things kind of mowed underneath them, give them a high level of nitrogen and reduce the pests, and then it worked together really good so that I've got better poultry and better fruit, and so far it's looking pretty good. Now I will say as well, I don't think that's the only difference, it's just where I've planted it, and I want to show you something else. This is peaches. I want to show you something with plums. So both in the chicken pen behind me, oh, the guinea pen behind me, and the duck pen I'm standing in, are two plum trees that are growing from seed. Now they're wild plums, so the quality is not going to be the same, but look at the quantity. Can you guys see how many are around here? Just growing everywhere. Some of these branches are so incredibly heavy laden. Look at this closer. I mean, this is an absolutely insane amount of plums. And not only is this branch doing it, you know, but this one and this one and that one. I mean, look at that one. It almost looks like it's covered in grapes, just going all the way back to the source. And there's so many of them up there. They're just incredible. Now I understand that these aren't going to grow as big as some of the ones you're going to find at the stores, but what they may lack in size, I think they're making up for in quantity. That is insane. And those are ones, like I said, they're the wild plums from around here, but they're grown from seed and they're in a poultry pen. Just to avoid having you think it's an isolated instance too, this is basically one of the twins of that other peach tree. It actually died back to the root and regrew. But if I do an inventory quick, we got one there, another one here, another one here. So we're already up to 3. That ties that one tree, right? Here's 4, 5. I see 6, 7, 8. Let's step around to another vantage point. 9, 10, 11, 12. You know, there's at least a dozen I can see just from walking around the base of it, taking a brief inventory. So, you know, that's kind of got those store-bought ones beat in quantity as well. Interesting. Now, this plum tree, okay, we're going to compare apples to apples, peaches to peaches, plums to plums. So plums, this plum too is, you know, in the poultry pen. There's ducks cruising around here. And I actually grafted it right about there onto a wild plum, and it was from a scion I brought down from Wisconsin. Oh, cool. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's an assassin bug with a daddy longleg in its mouth right there. Kind of cool. I like assassin bugs. But this one is a type of plum we used to have in Wisconsin that I kind of still wanted. And if I look here, right in my view, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You know, there's plums around here. You guys can see a couple there. Just counted a dozen quickly, and it's in the poultry pen. Now the graft, you know, isn't from the store. I did the grafting myself, but I did graft one of the older varieties that you can put on a more hardy rootstock onto it. You know, I could go buy that same type at the store. I just don't remember what type it was. But if we back up a couple years to my first YouTube payout ever, I bought these 3 plum trees and we planted them. Now this one's pretty beat up because I dropped 2 different trees on it as I was pushing back the woods. But if I look at these are varieties from the store that are not in a poultry area. And I'm seriously thinking about just fencing this area and running poultry here for like a year and then letting them go. If I do an inventory on these 3 trees, and what I wind up with is that's a very beautiful plum right there. And on this tree, which is the biggest, healthiest, happiest looking one, I can't find any plums on it. And if I look on this one, which is the second happiest and healthiest. There was one on it earlier that I was aware of, but I don't know where any are right now. Now they have produced plums. In fact, right here is a plum growing from seed, a plum growing from seed, a plum growing from seed from these parent trees. And I'm really actually excited about these ones because they're growing from seed. And I'm trying to, you know, gather some information, collect some data, see what's going on here. A plum like that, it's a good size. I can't wait for it to ripen, and I want to kind of keep it going. I know here I have a Stanley, a Methley, and a Burbank are these three varieties. Stanley, Methley, and Burbank. But right now, out of those three big trees, I know where one plum is. There was a couple other ones early in the season, and I can think of 3 or 4 that my family snacked on off of those. But I think if they were in a poultry pen, we'd have a little bit different experience with them, and we would maybe be able to increase the harvest just with the things that chickens, ducks, guineas, turkeys naturally provide. Now, of course, as they're young and they start growing up, we got to protect them. But as they go up from there, they can fend for themselves and actually, I think, do better because of the growing environment they're in. So, kind of interesting to think about. I'm not sure what all to conclude so far. When I done a previous garden tour, I left the fruit trees out of it for the time being, and I wanted just to kind of do a special one on that. Now I do also plan on doing a full garden tour for mid-June, and I'm rather excited about it. So we'll see how that goes, but there's a lot going on in here, and especially after taking the year off, I'm so excited to go back to gardening. So if you guys would, in the comment section, let me know. You think I'm onto something here? Do you think any of that comes into play? Do you think there's rhyme or reason or something to it? Or do you think it's just some random coincidence? And oh, I'm working on a special video for you guys too, because here in the Ozarks, we're in zone 6B, 7A, and we're growing citrus unprotected outside. I don't know if you know anything about that. I'll have a video on that later. I'll see you next time. Pop out.
Thank you for watching. Hit the like button. Thumbs up. For real.
The cow head is good?
Yeah.
That's because you know.